friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me for another video. I was doing some research for this video and in the middle of it, my hand stopped working. It's basically useless at the moment. I have carpal tunnel, which I'm getting treated, but today it just decided to go floppy on me, and anytime I try to use it, I feel pretty intense pain. So this video isn't going to be quite as put together and well researched as I would like, but regardless, I'm going to be talking about all of the plants on my wish list that are a little more unusual. They're either plants that I don't hear of very often, or plants that probably most people don't have as like a wish list plant. Some of them are going to be more common, so I have them divided into common, uncommon, and rare, and I've classified these based on what's common in my area. This might be different for you depending on where you are, but I live in Edmonton, Alberta, so these are just the sorts of things that I can easily get here or can't easily get here. And then for the rare category, it's going to be the things that are like next to impossible to get here, or perhaps things that are quite expensive. So if you're looking for some gift ideas for the plant lover in your life, or if maybe you just want to know about some different plants. These aren't necessarily like super trendy on Instagram right now, but they are all, in my opinion, very worth being on your wish list. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Okay, so the first plant I have in my common section is the cast iron plant. This is also known as Aspidistra elatior. I hope I didn't butcher that. It is essentially an indestructible plant. It's very like analogous to the ZZ plant in a lot of ways. It grows rhizomes just like a ZZ plant, so it is very drought tolerant. It's also known as the barroom plant. And basically this is a plant that is ideal for indoors. It thrives in shade. It's not picky about humidity or temperature. And yeah, like I say, it's basically indestructible. It's not the most showy plant. It kind of reminds me of just like a plain peace lily almost, but it's a little bit bigger, and I think it would be really nice as just like a floor plant in like a sort of not as well lit corner of the home if you just need like something to stick there. And I've been eyeing this up for quite a while. I did see some at a local greenhouse in my area in the summertime, but I decided not to splurge on it because they were selling them for like over $100. And like, mind you, it was a large floor plant, but I was still just like, nah, if I'm gonna spend $100 on a plant, it's probably gonna be something a little more rare. But I'm always keeping my eyes out for like a smaller one, so if you ever see one of these in a greenhouse and it's like a baby and it's a little cheaper, I would recommend picking one up because from what I've heard, they're very easy to take care of. Next on my common list is the Kentia palm, and this is also known as a century palm because it tends to go in doorways. Apparently Queen Victoria really liked Kentia palms. They're very popular in like hotel lobbies, that kind of thing. And the reason that I want a Kentia palm is because of all of the palm trees that you could have as an indoor plant, this one is probably the most well suited to being an indoor plant. It doesn't get like super huge, which is a problem with palm trees. A lot of people buy them thinking they can keep them like in their living room, and then it just grows so tall that eventually it would need to be repotted outdoors, which is not really a thing in Canada. So yeah, they're apparently very shade tolerant, very temperature tolerant. I would probably put it in the bathroom or somewhere with a humidifier just because they do like a little bit of humidity. And just in general, it's like a pretty, very sort of like jungle vibes or like beach vibes sort of plant. So I'm really interested in getting one. I would want to get like a big floor plant if I were to get one. But again, it's one of those things like the cast iron plant where it's probably going to be a bit more expensive, so I'd be willing to just keep an eye out for like a baby if I find one in a local nursery or something. A baby plant. Don't steal babies from your local nursery. Okay, and then the last one on my common list is something that a lot of people probably already have actually, but it's just one that I haven't personally picked up yet, and that is the Aglaonema silver bay. This is also known as a Chinese evergreen, and the silver bay cultivar specifically is the one that I'm looking for. It's a very beautiful like silvery variegation, which I love. I'm obsessed with silver variegation at the moment, and it's just an overall very easy plant to take care of. They're low light tolerant, and they're very fast growing, so you can kind of just stick them wherever. As long as there's some light, you should be good. And they're just so pretty. Like, I see them all the time and think to myself, I want one. Sorry if you hear any background noise. I have like roommates and I live in a house, so it's just kind of impossible to avoid. I'll take a broom and like hit the ceiling if it gets too bad, put them in their place. Okay, so moving on to the uncommon plants on my list. These are plants that aren't necessarily super rare, but they're just not as common. I don't really see them around very much, and they're the kind of plants that I have been eyeing up for a while, but just haven't gotten around to yet. So The first one on the list is Sansevieria Bantel Sensation, and I first heard about this on Nick Pileggi's channel. This is not your grandma's snake plant. Okay, this snake plant is not like other snake plants. It's special because this snake plant is variegated. The reason that this one is on my wish list is because in comparison to other snake plants, the main difference with this one is the variegation. It has like white stripes on it almost. The variegation on this is very unique looking, and it makes it look sort of sculptural or architectural, and it does require a little bit more light than other snake plants just because it is a lighter colored variegation. So you don't want to stick it in like the darkest corner of your house, and the leaves on it are a little bit thinner, so it looks almost like a statue. It's very sort of different. So like other snake plants, it is highly drought tolerant and would like to dry out in between waterings, which is perfect for me because I will famously forget about plants for weeks at a time. Or I'll be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I watered that last week, and then just do that for like 8 weeks in a row, and then like when it shrivels up, I'm like, what happened? So then next on my list of uncommon, I have Senecio macroglossus, which is also known as wax ivy. The reason that this is on my wish list is because it is like the succulent version of ivy, and it's not nearly as pest prone or high maintenance as ivy is, but it gives you that sort of ivy look, which I love. Last year in the wintertime, I had a huge spider mite infestation because I brought some ivy in from outside, which is like the worst possible idea because you know it's going to be infested. And indeed it was, and then my entire house was, so lesson learned. But yes, so the wax ivy is related to string of pearls, the Senecio rolianus. Anyway, and it's just like, it's cute. I don't know, it looks like ivy, but it's a succulent. What more could you want? Of course, it does need bright light because of its succulent nature, and it is fairly drought tolerant, which is, again, key for me. So I would love to get my hands on some of this. I haven't really seen it around here ever, but if you live in Edmonton and you've seen wax ivy or you have some that you would trade for, let me know because I'm in the market for that shit. And then the last one on my list of uncommon houseplants is none other than the booby cactus. Need I say more? Really, the only reason that this is on my wish list is because it looks like boobies, and who wouldn't want that? I was reading a post of this lady who was like saying that she collects not safe for work plants, and this was on her list, and I was like, what else is on her list? Like, I've seen pictures of like cacti with like 2 little babies, and then it looks like, but yes, I don't really know anything about its care because it was at about this point in my research that my hands started not working, so I'm just gonna leave you with this and say no more. So the first rare plant on my list is Hoya carnosa gray ghost. I saw this for the first time on Kaylee Ellen's channel. I love Kaylee Ellen, she's amazing, and I've learned so much from her, and I've gotten so many ideas for plants that I want from her. I'm not going to say that this is necessarily super unusual on people's wish lists, but I haven't seen it on any rare plant wish lists as of yet, and I just wanted to include it because it's probably like my #1 plant that I want right now. I love Hoyas, I'm Hoya obsessed, and a silver Hoya is like, in terms of care, you would treat this like you would with most Hoyas, not overwatering it, giving it lots of sun. I would hazard a guess that this one could probably handle some direct light because lots of Hoyas can handle direct light, and especially with its like lighter variegation, I would probably stick it right under a grow light. In fact, I would put it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. Okay, next on the list we have Alocasia reversa. Now this is very similar to Alocasia silver dragon, but the leaves are a little more elongated and the overall color is just a bit darker. And I don't know, I like the look of this a little bit better than the silver dragon. I'm not sure what it is exactly. I think I really like the sort of dark color but also silvery aspect to it. I don't know. Typical care would apply to this one, so you definitely want to make sure that if a new leaf is coming in, you're giving it plenty of water with distilled water if possible. I follow Kaylee Ellen's aeroid mix for all of my aeroids, so especially for one that's like more rare and expensive, you want to make sure that you have it in a really good soil medium. Alocasia also do like some humidity, so if you can keep it near a humidifier, definitely do that, or give it a pebble tray or stick it in a greenhouse. In terms of light, you'd want to keep it in bright indirect light, like most tropical houseplants. I've heard that some direct light is okay, but in general, indirect bright light is going to be ideal for your alocasias, and this is no exception. Okay, and then last but not least, the final plant on my unusual plant wish list is Begonia pavonina, or peacock begonia. And I must admit that this is one that I've only heard of recently, but I mean, just look at it. It's like holographic, okay? It's blue when you shine the light on it. It looks like someone painted it with metallic spray paint, and I'm here for it. So, like most begonias, this is going to be a bit of a more high maintenance plant, if you could even find it. I have no idea where I would get one of these in Canada, but if I ever get my hands on one. In terms of care, you'd want a well-draining soil. Although begonias like moist soil, they still like it to be well-draining. A lot of new plant parents don't quite get that distinction, so that's something that I struggled with my begonia maculata, was the balance between keeping the soil moist but also making sure that it was well draining, because my begonia just completely lost almost all its leaves because it was actually overwatered, because the soil that it was in was basically 100% peat. So after I repotted it in a much more well-draining mix, it started doing much better. So for this type of begonia, in order to maintain that blue color, it does actually need quite a bit more light than your typical begonia would. However, it doesn't want direct sunlight for more than about 4 hours or the leaves will get scorched. So you have to find that balance between giving it enough light without actually like burning the leaves. So just like its natural environment and just like most houseplants, just give it bright and direct light and it should be fine. The main thing with begonias though is humidity, and that's one that you do need to take special care with. Begonias, especially for this begonia, would need somewhere between 60 and 80% ideally, so keeping it in a greenhouse environment or like right next to a humidifier would be perfect. But I mean, like, oh my gosh, look at this thing. Ugh, it's so gorgeous. I want to make myself like one separate IKEA greenhouse just filled with like the most crazy looking plants I can find, and then my journey will be complete. I can stop buying plants. I can just get rid of all my other ones. So that wraps up my unusual plants wish list. I hope you found this video interesting. Maybe you found out about a plant that you didn't know about before. If you did like this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up. That would just... If you want to make my day, you can subscribe. I am hoping to get 100 subscribers by the end of 2020. Help a girl out, click that subscribe button, and then click the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my future videos. My Instagram is at prairie.plantmom, so you can go follow me there for more behind the scenes stuff, and I post polls and photos of my plants and just general day-to-day kind of stuff over there. So go on and follow me on Instagram. Why not? You deserve it. All right, thanks guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.